Today's message is about taking a break, and I don't want to jump straight into it. I want to hear what you think. Why should you not take a break? Why would you want to take a break? When is the right time to take a break? Let's begin with why you shouldn't take a break. Verse 1, slothfulness casts into a deep sleep. Proverbs 18:5. That's a strange way of saying this. Slothfulness casts into a deep sleep. How does slothfulness cast into a deep sleep? It's like being lazy or procrastinating. How does that cause you to go to sleep? It causes you to go to sleep because if you're lazy or if you're procrastinating, you're tired, it's hard work to do nothing. Verse 2, he who is slack in his work is a brother to a noisy and angry person. You know, we've met people who are very noisy and angry, but then you find out they're lazy. They don't like to do anything. Or maybe you have a friend and you'll find out he or she is very lazy. And this person is kind of quiet, but then you notice this person is always complaining about something. There's always a reason why they're upset. You find out it's because they're frustrated. They're not getting their work done. They're procrastinating. They're lazy. And so here we see the connection between being lazy and being upset or being frustrated. Being lazy causes anger. Verse 3, put in the fear of the Lord. I will set my ways and my thoughts in order, lest I be wicked before him, for he may cut short my days, or another may take my office. Notice the contrast. At the beginning of the chapter, we heard about being lazy. Here we see the exact opposite. We read, I will set my ways and my thoughts in order, lest I be wicked before him. What does it mean to be lazy? To be lazy is to be out of order. But when you put your life in order, you fear God, then you realize that you don't have time to be lazy. You don't have time to waste. Now, why would you want to take a break? As we look at the second part of the scripture, we see a strong case for why you want to take a break. Notice verse 1, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Verse 2, it is better to be of an evil and a lying tongue than to carry the burden of all living and to have the burden of many lips. A wound from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy can betray outright. Now, you're asking, what does that mean? Look at the first part of this verse again. It is better to be of an evil and a lying tongue. Imagine having someone constantly speaking evil about you, lying on you. That is much better than carrying the burden of everyone's expectations. It is better to have a friend speak evil about you or to have a friend lie to you than to have everyone else's expectations and burdens placed on you. In other words, it's better to take a break. It's better to delegate. It's better to let go. Verse 4, a fool's mouth lashes out with pride, but the lips of the wise protect them. People who are proud, foolish people, they lash out. But the lips of the wise, these people protect themselves. Verse 5, better is open rebuke than hidden love. Sometimes we think, I should be silent. I should pretend I'm okay. But actually, it's better to speak up, better to say, hey, I need a break. I need time to get things together. When should you take a break? Verse 6, in everything they sent to him to the king, there was written, a letter to the king. I think the author of Proverbs is trying to teach us a lesson. Let's look at this. In everything they sent to him to the king, there was written, a letter to the king, and the letter did not come back empty. Proverbs 27-26, verse 1 says, whoever is heavy laden or burdened desires rest. If you're tired, if you're worn out, if you're broken, you want to rest. Verse 2, go, show yourself to be a man among your friends, but do not tell them your secrets. In other words, if you're tired, if you're heavy laden, you're frustrated, you're stressed out, go find your friends. Tell your friends, I'm stressed out, I need a break. I'm gonna take some time, but don't tell everyone. Don't complain, don't gossip, just do it. Verse 3, business and speculation both are better than poverty. Fretfulness and folly better than the treasure of kings. Someone who has plans, who's thinking ahead, who's dreaming big, who's working hard, who's thinking about the future, someone who is frugal and careful with money, someone who is nervous, fretful, frustrated, angry, that person is better off than a king who has lots of gold. Why? Because if you're busy and you're planning and you're working hard, you're not going to worry about money. If you're cautious with your money, you're not going to worry about money. Someone who worries and is fretful and is jealous and is frustrated and is angry is someone who is poor. And so we learn a valuable lesson here. You know, there's something about a person who takes time to relax, who doesn't work all the time. And this is not laziness, this is wisdom. Let's look into more scriptures. Psalm 127:2. It is useless for you to work so hard from early morning until late at night, anxiously working for food to eat, for God gives rest to his loved ones. If you're struggling and you're frustrated and you're worried about making ends meet, this passage reminds us that we must trust God for our needs to be met. Worrying, fretting, being anxious is not going to help you. Trust in God. Believe in God. He will meet your needs. Verse 3, children are indeed a heritage from the Lord, offspring, a reward from him. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior, so are the children of one's youth. It's better to have a plan. It's better to be frugal. It's better to be wise than to be poor. It's better to work hard than to be poor. It's better to be dreaming and planning and looking toward the future than to be poor. Children are a blessing from God. God promises to bless your efforts. But how do you know that children are a blessing from God when they become your arrows? You see, arrows are dangerous. Arrows can kill. Arrows can inflict harm. But only when an arrow is shot and released does it become dangerous. Until then, an arrow is harmless. And so, in the same way, children become a blessing when you raise them to be productive members of society who contribute something of value. Mark 6, verse 30, the apostles gathered together with Jesus and said, "Let us go somewhere and rest a while." For even as they were doing many things, they did not have a time to rest. What is the conclusion? What is the point of today's message? We need to take time to rest, time to relax, time to recharge. If you're burned out, you're not going to be as productive tomorrow as you are today. And so, yes, we need to work hard, but we also need to take time to relax, to rest, to sleep, to enjoy family, to enjoy friends, to spend time with God. All of that is a part of life. I hope this helps. May God bless you, and until next time.